Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today to talk about that Battlefield 1 reveal trailer. Yeah, how about that? World War 1 it is. I'm not gonna say I called it because I didn't call it. All I really did was say, hey, it would be really cool if they did World War 1 because history lesson. One big giant history lesson, and I very much hope that whether we're playing the multiplayer or the campaign, DICE manages to make Battlefield 1 historically accurate, at least as much as they possibly can. There's actually a lot of cool prototype stuff that was developed during World War 1 that they can use in the game, and we see a glimpse of that in the trailer, which you guys are going to be seeing on loop. On loop. Now, I don't know how long this video is going to be. There's a lot of things I want to say. Just expect it to not be short, and the best thing you can probably do is put it in the background and just listen to what I have to say, because I really want to tell you why I'm excited for Battlefield 1, especially after seeing the gameplay and gathering a few bits and pieces of information that have appeared on the web. You know, I'm one of those guys. I love Battlefield. I grew up with Battlefield, going back to 1942, going back to Battlefield 2, Bad Company, Battlefield 3, like I played them all. Battlefield Vietnam, like I was there. I loved those games. They gave me an insane amount of enjoyment and good times with my fire team, with my squad. Even Battlefield 4 did, but eventually I burned myself out. I wore myself down, and I simply wanted nothing to do with Battlefield. Ask anyone who played Battlefield 4 with me in the last 2 years. It's not a pretty sight. It's pretty much just me bitching endlessly about what they should have done in Battlefield 4. Now, at the forefront of this conversation, and the forefront of Battlefield 1, and the forefront of all those conversations I had in my sessions of Battlefield 4, was the fact that I wanted them to lock people into vehicle roles. I wanted it so damn badly. I was like, you could completely change what Battlefield is and how it plays out, and you could separate the importance of infantry in vehicle combat if you locked people into vehicle roles. No more of this hopping out of the tank BS. Like, be done with that. Well, guess what they're doing in Battlefield 1? They're doing just that. You have no idea how happy that makes me. It's probably the first time in the history that a single man has gotten so excited about a tiny little mechanic. But it's not really a tiny little mechanic, is it? It's going to completely change the way we play Battlefield. And hopefully the best possible way. I really think, in my head, the theory of that mechanic is that that is going to make Battlefield really freaking special again. I want to swear because I'm that excited. Like, that's a game changer. That is a legitimate game changer in itself. And then you have everything else going on with Battlefield 1, specifically the setting and the diversity that they're going with within the setting. Battlefield 1 didn't just, Battlefield 1. World War 1 didn't just take place in the trenches, and the trailer for Battlefield 1 has clearly shown us that they understand that. It took place across the world, man, in so many different locations, in so many different environments, on so many different, situations. We see horseback, we see, land, air, and sea. We see stuff in the trenches, we see stuff in, jungles and forests, we see stuff in the desert, in the countryside. Like, yeah, capture all of that, man, and shove that into Battlefield. And I am so on board. I am so on board and so hopeful that they deliver something seriously kick-ass. And again, at the forefront for me is that idea. Locked in vehicle roles. You know what that means? That means that you are a dogfighter. You are a tank driver. You are potentially a guy aboard a battle cruiser. Who knows what they're doing with that stuff? Like, that puts serious significance behind being any given role in the multiplayer or even in the campaign. Mostly in the multiplayer we're talking about here, though. And, like, I love the idea of that, because to me, being a chopper, being in a chopper, I like to fly jets, it has no significance in Battlefield 3. It has no significance in Battlefield 4. Even in Bad Company 2, it just wasn't there for me, Like, I can just hop out of this thing at any time and start throwing C4 at people. That's what I do as a tank guy? Like, no, I want to feel like I am a tank driver. And you know what's the best place to start with that sort of thing? World War 1, man. Those guys were crazy, dude. Shoving themselves into these tin cans, flying across, frickin' trenches that could have bombs in them. Like, and let's not even get started on the World War 1 fighter pilots fighting with so much, just what? What? These people were crazy. And if they can capture that, if they can capture that feeling like, this is what I do, that's going to be so cool. And I've got a friend who, he actually saw the trailer and he told me, Matt, my buddy Phineas, he like, much like me, was really worn out on Battlefield 4, you know, because he had a brother who really liked to play it, where he was just like, I want to play DCS. And I hope that, you know, that idea, that concept of vehicle roles could very much revive the franchise for him. The idea that he could get into the game and be a dogfighter, you know, he could do that almost exclusively if he wanted to. Like, yeah, that's what I do. I like to fly planes, and he could feel like he has a real purpose behind that, and he could have satisfaction because it's more skill-based and it's rewarding. Like, that's the type of thing that I think could evolve, could spawn from these locked-in vehicle roles. I'm very excited about that. That's something that Red Orchestra did, actually. And I loved it in that. Like, you know, yeah, we're tank drivers. This is what we do. We're in this tank. It felt so claustrophobic, so terrifying, but you also felt like so badass when things went your way. And at the same time, like I said, it was equally terrifying. I really hope they can capture all of those elements in the multiplayer. And I know I probably just sound like a crazy fanboy right now, but like, that's something to be excited about. And you know what? At the end of the day, as much as I can say Battlefield 4 disappointed me, DICE still makes great games. You know, Battlefield 4, you know, pushing aside all of its, you know, foibles and foibles and the issues it had with connection and launches, it's still a fun game to play. It's a great team-based shooter. And I think, you know, for me, 4 just, you know, most of the flaws and the issues I had with Battlefield 4 came from the fact that the game didn't evolve that much or didn't move forward that much from Battlefield 3. So hopefully that's something that they understand, that they've learned here with Battlefield 1, and they're not just using this setting to freshen up the experience, but they're using it as an opportunity to look at all the issues they've had along the way with the franchise and say, okay, how can we really change the way people play the game? How can we resolve a lot of the problems that we had in the past? And how can we make Battlefield really special once again? And that single change, that single concept of locked-in vehicle roles, that means a lot to me. That means a lot to me when I look at DICE and I say, you've clearly been thinking. You've clearly been like, let's really roll the dice here. Pun very much intended. So I'm excited for that, guys. Obviously, the setting is fantastic. You know, the developers actually, during their little stream, talked about like more close quarters stuff. You know, we're going to see a step away from the like long distance combat. There's a lot more visceral close quarters combat, whether you're in the trenches or in the environments. The dogfighting just looks absolutely mental. And I hope that they don't make too big of a push for accessibility. I like the idea of everyone being able to play the role that they want to play, but at the same time, you should have to really earn the right to be a good dogfighter, earn the right to be a great tank driver, a good tank gunner, or a tailwing gunner on a biplane. Like, you should have to earn that and work for that. There needs to be a sense of satisfaction to that, and it needs to be skill-based. If they strip that away, then, you know, what the hell is the point of it all? I want really great dogfighting. I want great vehicular combat. I want great infantry combat, and I want them all to be able to stand on their own legs. And I want them to be satisfying in the end of the day. Because for me, that's a place where Battlefield 4 and even Battlefield 3, the series as a whole, has always had room to improve on vehicle combat. Is it like really, you know, one of the best games doing it? Yeah, but it has very little competition as well. There's very little to compare it to, especially in the big AAA, you know, screen. Really, the biggest thing I can compare it to, like I said, is like Red Orchestra and stuff with their vehicle combat. But it's not nearly as fleshed out as Battlefield's was. You know, you didn't have all the vehicle options in Red Orchestra. So I like that they're doing this, and again, I hope that they take it very seriously and they really say, you know, how can we make this really skill-based? How can we make this really rewarding? I want to see that happen, and I want to see them push vehicle combat, land, air, sea, whatever they do, push it forward. Like, let's seriously improve how that exists within the Battlefield franchise. It's about damn time. Now, there's so much else we could say about the World War I setting, like, you know, artillery. Oh my God, this looks crazy. Really, I just, you know, hope that the multiplayer and the campaign are both enjoyable. You know, for once, I would love to see a modern day Battlefield entry, you know, actually have a really enjoyable campaign and tell a great story. And I think they have history on their side. And again, I talked about this a couple months ago when I talked about why I wanted Battlefield to be World War I this year. And it's all about that history, you know? You have the opportunity to teach multiple generations about a war that they probably know very little about. I don't even know that much about World War I. All I know is stuff that I learned in my own time. We didn't learn about it in school, really, and if we did, I don't remember. And that's probably how it is for a lot of people, old or young. So you have that opportunity. That is already sort of a cheat, right? You know, it's all like, it's a mini cheat for the campaign in any story they tell. And it's up to them to just really make sure that the rest of it is special, that it's engaging, and that it is, of course, first and foremost, fun, challenging, and satisfying. Now, the last thing I really want to talk about is kind of how they delivered all of this, okay? Because this is something I'm getting a bit tired of. The whole, like, hey, let's have a big reveal. Let's invite YouTubers that are really popular, and then, you know, we'll show them the game, and then we'll show everybody else some trailer that isn't even actual gameplay. It's a bit silly, and I gotta be honest, I'm a bit fed up with that whole mentality. Like, you know what? All those people that you're not showing the real game right now, that you're not showing the gameplay, they're your audience. They're the ones giving you the money. That handful of YouTubers, they're just YouTubers. They're marketing tools for you. They play your game, and they basically let you help your game sell more copies, and you don't really have to pay them anything, even if you are paying them something, which you shouldn't be. Like, it's the bigger audience, you know? Show them the game. Why are you hiding it behind doors unless it's not finished? You know, if there's a product there to show and you're letting people play it, why not show it to everyone else? You know what I loved about Hardline is that they announced Hardline and then they gave us the beta the same frickin' day. Like, what? That's the kind of thing I want to see, you know? Like, show us gameplay. If you're going to have a live stream to announce your game, please don't do what Battlefield and Call of Duty just did this year. Please don't. Please don't have like a 40-second, a 15-minute live stream where you talk with the developers in a very, very poorly put together manner, and then just show us a trailer that's like a minute long. Like, if you want to show the trailer, get everybody excited, go ahead. If you want to have, you know, a developer sit down, go ahead. Make it feel natural. Let's actually hear from the developers who worked on the frickin' game, you know? And then show us some gameplay. You know what would get people even more excited? You know what really get people pre-ordering your game, if that's what you want as a company? If you show them gameplay. If you actually had the developers face off against a group of YouTubers, their favorite personalities, you get the best of both worlds now, in a multiplayer match of Rush on a brand new map and show off some of the game. Even if you just showed off like the infantry combat and left out vehicles and stuff like that. Like, you know, that's what people want to see. We just want you to play your game for us. Like, developers and publishers need to start taking the no bullshit approach. Cliff Bleszinski has sort of coined this for his studio at Boss Key, and everything I've seen from Lawbreakers is just like, yep, that's the game. They just showed me the game. That's what I'm going to play when I get in the alpha. That's what I'm going to play when the game comes out. That makes people happy. You're speaking to the truth to them. You're showing them the truth. You're showing them the game. That will sell copies. Get with it. Come on, man. It's supposed to be multi-billion-dollar corporations with really smart people leading them. Well, start thinking a little bit smarter. Start thinking a little bit more modern. The consumer gets smarter and smarter every day, and if corporations don't keep up with that, they're gonna get left in the dust. That's really all I have to say, guys. I honestly could talk about this trailer for like 50 minutes. There's so much more I want to say about it, but I'm not going to do that because I don't think anybody wants to listen to 50 minutes of some guy rambling on around why he thinks Battlefield 1 could potentially be awesome and why he thinks it could fail. I'm excited for it. It's a Battlefield game. I like Battlefield games. I hope it does really well. I wish everyone at DICE the best of luck. I hope that this 3-year development cycle, that's a 1-year improvement over Battlefield 4's development cycle of 2 years, is enough to let them make the game that they wanted to make, not the game that EA wanted them to make for the sake of making money. Fingers crossed. We'll see you in October. The game's coming out October something or other. I'll put the date on the screen because I totally forgot what it said in the trailer. They're already talking about a public beta, which is fantastic. Beta test. Yes, thank you, please. We're here. We'll play your game for free. We'll give you feedback. It's a complete win-win situation. Let me know what you guys thought of the trailer. Let me know what you think of the idea of vehicle rolls. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you like the potential there? Let me know all your thoughts and more down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.